In brief, is when Basketball Wives goes international. Let's talk about it. Hello, everyone. This is Keith, and welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. I'm not really into sports. I used to like playing them, but I don't really follow them much. And but this story kept popping up. The one you might have heard about, a young lady. I think she's about 31. She is a basketball player for the WNBA, I believe. Her name is Brittney Grimes. Well, she's in the news because of what she did when she flew to Russia. She played there, I guess, in the off season, um, and make a decent amount of money. Good for her. But she went to Russia with a small amount of Canada's oil on her person when she tried to get through customs. So she got busted. Now, granted, it's a small amount, but you still have to consider that you're not in the United States anymore, and just having a passport's not going to protect you. You have to adhere to the rules and the laws of the country, especially when you go to countries like Russia. Um, let's read this article here about it. Just get some more details on it. Again, I do really kind of feel sorry for her, even though people are making fun of the fact that she refused to kneel just a couple of years ago, and during the beginning of the game when they have the Pledge of Allegiance and things like that. Um, when they sang the Star Spangled Banner, which is what they do during the beginning of most games, she reportedly refused to kneel and didn't like the country and the whole 9 yards. I guess this was under Trump. It was a very popular thing to do. That's her right. She could do that, and that shouldn't hurt anybody. That's one of the great things about this country, that you have the right to dislike it and disagree with it. So I don't really, dog her for that, even though people are having a good old time kind of rubbing it in her face that how does she feel about the United States now? So the article goes as follows. I got this from MSNBC, their news. Again, I like using left-wing sources when I can, so you can't say I'm being biased. Brittney Griner trial live. Wife, and this is when the basketball wife joke comes in. Wife Sherelle disheartened. No Biden response to the appeal for Russia help. What did they expect from a guy like Joe Biden? He takes his orders from guys in Easter Bunny outfits, and he's getting notes as to how he should sit and stand and all that stuff. I don't know what they expected from Biden, to be honest. Anyway, more than 4 months after the arrest in Moscow, U.S. women's basketball star Brittney Griner appeared in a Russian court on Friday for what is expected to be the beginning of a trial on drug charges. The 31-year-old athlete was seen arriving in Kamiki City Court. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Kamiki City Court outside of Moscow in handcuffs shortly after noon local time, with U.S. Embassy staff in attendance. Well, at least the U.S. Embassy's there with her. She then heard her charges, including intentionally transporting narcotics, facing up to 10 years in prison in Russia. Man, I'd be terrified too if I was facing a couple of years in prison in Russia. I mean, they make video games about how horrible the Russian prisons are. Well, I mean, that's why you don't fly with drugs, I guess. So she's facing up to 10 years in prison in Russia. Griner accepted the charges and did not enter a plea, reports said. One of the things you need to understand, and this is me jumping off of I'm not quoting from the story right now, is the judicial system in other countries, like Russia, for example. There is no presumption of innocence. It's actually a presumption of guilt. It's up to the party, the defense, to prove they're not guilty. It's completely different from the United States. Except, I guess, if during a January 6 trials where they presume you're guilty and everyone involved with the quote unquote insurrection is guilty and they have to prove their innocence. There are people who are locked up. We basically have political prisoners in D.C., people who are locked up without any formal charge and without trial, and they've been there almost 2 years now. So yeah, the United States is starting to mirror that, the Soviet era, show me the man, I'll show you the crime mentality. So maybe Ms. Griner will actually get some justice in Russia more than some of the people who participated in the January 6th debacle. I'm not going to call it an insurrection because it wasn't. Maybe she'll get better chance at justice there than here in the United States. Because again, under this current regime, we're looking more like Russia than Russia, I guess, in some cases. Anyway, so they believe she's being held as a hostage and not as a prisoner or criminal because Russia apparently has made hints that they would be willing to trade her. So yeah, if that's true, she's not so much a prisoner. She is a bargaining chip. But here's the problem with the bargaining chip. You got to have some sort of value. Apparently she has no value to the Biden White House because they're not even responding to the ladies, to her wife's, quote unquote wife, to the basketball player's wife's letter. Britney Griner's wife, Sherelle, told CBS News this morning that is very disheartening, that she has still not heard from the White House after Britney wrote a handwritten letter to President Joe Biden. I don't know what it would do to, how it would benefit Russia to bargain with Biden. They see how weak he is. They see he doesn't know what's going on. He's making gaffes. He's not all there. His poll numbers are dropping. He's down to like I think in the 30s insofar as support from the United States voters. And looking at his age and all that, that's telling all our enemies and even our allies that he is a lame duck president. He's barely in his second year. Second year, and there's no or very little chance of him running again. So if you look at it from their point of view, someone like Putin, it doesn't make any sense really bargaining with Biden. He's not going to be there in 2 years, more than likely. So it's just a waste of time. You're going to have to negotiate with the next president that comes up. So the best thing to do is ignore Biden for the most part, and they're doing that. The Russians are ignoring Biden. The Arabs in the Middle East are ignoring Biden. Whoever voted for him, I'm sorry, you're just a moron if you voted for this guy. Look, I can understand you not liking Trump and some of the things he said, but that's different from a president doing things. You need to be able to distinguish saying things that you may not like from doing things that are horrible. Biden's doing both, to be honest. He's saying things that are stupid and doing a lot of harm to the country, but this is where we are. So we got to deal with it for the next 2 years. Now, the article does bring up a very interesting question, I think, that's on the minds of quite a few people. But Biden supporters don't want to contemplate this, but here it is in MSNBC News. Is the U.S. leaving Britney Griner behind because she's black? Would Britney Griner have gotten more support from the U.S. government if she weren't black? That's a good question. And you know what? We actually have proof that might not be the case. It might not be that she's black. It might have more to do with who's president right now. Because here we go. In 2019, Trump threatened a trade war with Sweden over ASAP Rocky's arrest in 2019. So I don't know who ASAP Rocky is because my knowledge of women's basketball is about as good as my knowledge of rap artists, but I believe that this guy's black. Yeah, he looks black. He probably voted for Biden, which makes him double black. He probably still didn't vote for Trump the first or second time, but Trump still, at least, he threatened an ally with a trade war over one guy, and it was some fight that happened at the airport. It said Rocky was arrested in 2019 in July. Yeah, it's like 2 years ago. And held in jail for a month after being involved in a fight prior to a scheduled appearance at Stockholm Music Festival. Trump quickly came to the rapper's defense, posting on Twitter that he would personally vouch for Rocky's bail, even though the Scandinavian country does not allow the practice of posting bail. Oops. Just had a very good call with the Swedish Prime Minister, Stefan Löfven, whatever, and he assured me that American citizen Rocky will be treated fairly. Likewise, I assured him that ASAP will not be a flight risk, and offered personally to vouch for Rocky. So anyway, that kind of dispels the myth, at least that it's because she's black. It might be that Biden just doesn't give a crap or doesn't know what's going on. So I think we could put that theory to bed. Personally, look, I do hope the young lady is sent back home. She's an American citizen, but she should have known better than to go into Russia and play around. I've done a lot of traveling. I've had a passport since I was a little 5-year-old kid, and you have to learn how to travel. You have to look up what the laws are in these other countries before you do something that you might think is shady. If you're going to be flying around with vape supplies and paraphernalia and a little weed in it or whatever, you might not want to travel. But again, I hope she gets back home safe and sound. I don't like seeing people treated like this, even if I disagree with them politically. That's minor. I think we're all Americans, and even though I know this would not be reciprocated, the other side hates conservatives, especially black conservatives' guts and independents and libertarians so much they would throw us under the bus in a heartbeat. I still have, like I said, some sympathy for this lady. But that's my comment. What's yours? Like, share, comment, and subscribe.